7 years old. When I was a freshman in high school, we started dual sports. Timeline kicked in Michigan. Basketball, volleyball, track and field, and volleyball. We didn't have cross country because the MHSAA back then thought women couldn't run cross country. And that even when they did put cross country in, it was a shorter distance than the men. I have 3 daughters. I am immensely proud of their hard work and their dedication when they were high school sports. And between my 3 daughters, I have 10 team MVPs, 1 individual state champion, 1 team championship, 4 second place finishes at the state track meet, and a 5th and a 7th, and 8 all-state honors amongst my 3 daughters. And my most prized possession, if you've been to my office, is a first place Big Ten medal from my daughter Meg. A wonderful accomplishment. If a biological male had participated against my daughters, I doubt the numbers I just stated would be the same. This is not equal opportunity under Title IX. And it's not equal opportunity under President Trump's executive order, which should be considered the law of the land. Fair competition is important to protect opportunities for girls and ensure a level playing field. Early this week, I sent a letter to the MHSAA, strongly urging the association to reconsider their decision to continue allowing biological men to compete in girls' sports. The MHSAA is putting schools at risk of losing federal funding that supports essential services and activities that all students use. The NCAA has already announced it will comply with the new order. And if I heard correctly, I think Riley Gaines got her medals back, and they stripped the medals from the man who swam in that meet. In closing, the MHSAA must follow President Trump's lead and prohibit men from competing against our daughters in sports. Not only to save federal funding for Michigan schools, but in order to provide a safe environment for girls and young women to participate. Thank you. And now I will turn it over to Representative Jason Wolf.
Thank you for being here today, Senator Desmond. Thank you for hosting us today in your office. And Senator Bolito, thank you. It's great to lock arms with you and our Republican caucus and the women to stand for the girls and women in their sports. We're here today because both Senator Bolito and I have issued letters to the MHSAA, and they seem to be disinterested in school districts of being at risk of losing their federal funding. And most importantly, deny the overwhelming majority of Michiganders and those, and most importantly, the President of the United States. Just 2 days ago, the nation watched as President Trump gave a State of the Union address, and we saw him recognize one of his very special guests, 15-year-old Peyton McNabb, a young lady from North Carolina who suffered a traumatic brain injury while playing in women's high school volleyball after a biological male spiked the ball in her face, suffering a traumatic brain injury. While a very small number of our critics often point out that this is just a very small amount of participants in Michigan's female athletic divisions, I want to point out what's more important to all of us, and that is the 112,000 high school female athletes in Michigan whose parents can no longer have a certainty that their children will not suffer the same fate of Miss Peyton McNabb. Most importantly also is the mother and fathers of those 112,000 athletes who have no guarantee that their children will not be forced to share a locker room with males, be forced to compete against much larger, stronger, and aggressive athletic opponents. This radical transgender ideology endangers female athletes, allowing biological males to invade their private spaces, destroy the integrity of the sport, and jeopardize the physical safety. And this is why I've spearheaded the effort in the House to put an end to this ideology, this madness, by introducing a ban to ban biological males participating in women's sports and sending a letter to the MHSAA urging them to stop allowing men and boys to be in women's sports. In closing, the MHSAA should acknowledge that their policy today of allowing biological males in women's sports division is completely misguided and is harming our females. Grossly, this is a trend that is continuing to grow. The United Nations, of all places, has stated how there have been 900 medals, commendations, and awards that have been stripped or lost by women because of biological males participating in their sports. And in closing, we've seen the election results. The American people have spoken. They have spoken. They're sick of a government that's out of control, an economic crisis, and our women and children being under attack. And this is why, from the State House to the White House, we're saying that we will no longer allow our daughters and women to be taken advantage of by insecure men, haters of women, radical transgender ideology, and those who choose to stand in silence. We today are no longer standing in silence for our women and children. As an elected representative of Michigan, I strongly encourage MHSAA to reconsider its position, not just for the sake of our female athletes, but also for the well-being and the future of Michigan. God bless you. Thank you for being here today. Leader?
Well, thanks. Thank you for attending. Appreciate that, and thanks for the turnout. And hopefully, Gooders will allow you to print some of this also. And that includes Craig, Shrews, Oakley. The folks will actually be able to read what we're saying and what we're saying in terms of standing up for women and women's sports and young girls. As a father, I have a young daughter, a 5.5-year-old. I think she's turning 16 sometime soon, but with her attitude. But if she plays in sports someday, I want to make sure she's plays and safe and competitive, and that she's able to earn those medals that she deserves. Over the last 50, 60 years, we've seen a lot of equality and a lot of push for equality with sports. And I think it's important that we continue to protect women's sports and the folks that have been able to compete with them. I'll be quick and to the point. The MHSAA needs to get over itself, step up, and join the rest as adults in the room. It's time to protect our girls and promote fair competition in sports. Not Howard would scream that by far-left ideologues. Biology reality isn't a feeling, it's a fact. And we've all known our whole lives that boys and girls are physically different. In the middle of 5, I have 2 younger sisters, I have 2 older brothers. It wasn't until about 5 minutes ago that a few people refused to accept what we've known our whole life, that there's a physical difference between boys and girls. And sometimes it's good just to let boys be boys and girls be girls. Let kids be kids. Don't let these adults plow in their ideology into our children. And our girls deserve a fair, level play field. Not a system that sacrifices their safety and opportunities to appease those who deny reality. If you truly care for these student athletes, if you care for our girls, stop hiding kind excuses, make the obvious common sense decision, and protect our girls in sports. The people made themselves clear in November, and America's ready to close their book on this woke nonsense and of this liberal left-wing elites that want to oppose their ideology in our common sense of Midwest states like Michigan. So thanks for covering, and thank you for the House and Senate members willing to step up for what really is common sense today. Thank you.
Thank you for being here today to cover this very important subject. It's very, very important to people of the country and also the people here at the state of Michigan. I have 2 sisters who played athletics and women's sports. I have 2 daughters who played athletics and women's sports. I know 15 grandkids, a whole bunch of granddaughters coming up. They're going to want to be able to play sports with women, not with men. And yet what we see here in the state of Michigan with the Democrat Party is they're all in it for these terrible policies. Having girls have to play with biological men where their bodies can be destroyed, as we've already heard in testimony, where they have to worry about boys coming into the girls' shower. This stuff is not supported by the people in the state of Michigan. Polling I saw recently is 80% of the people do not support this. I was listening on the radio, they said 67% of Democrat voters do not support this. Yet I bet every single one of the Democrat legislators here in Lansing would vote to continue these terrible policies harming women. They simply don't care. Their concern is this small woke class of special interests, and that's all they care about. They have the parents, what's going on with their children, is the core young females losing not only maybe their health, but their awards, scholarships, all of this being lost because this woke ideology that the people here in the state of Michigan reject. So the NAACP has updated its policy that student athletes assigned at NAOPRS will not be able to compete with women's sports games. The NAACP President Charlie Baker has affirmed President Trump's order provides clear national standards for these schools. The National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics also already prohibits biological males from competing with women's sports, even if they have undergone hormone therapy. Pam Bondy has said that she is going to go after these states that are not complying with the federal anti-discrimination laws to protect these women. The Department of Justice has made clear that they will hold these states responsible for ignoring federal law and will use every option to enforce compliance with federal law and the president's executive order protecting these women. So we have to get the message here in the state of Michigan across to these Democrats, to the governor, to the legislature, to start protecting these women, protecting these parents' rights. It's outrageous that they are looking at this small little sliver of people out there, these loud voices on the left, and endangering women. And we are here today to make sure this stops. Thank you. And now I'd like to turn it over to Senator Tikes.
I would like to reiterate, thank you all for being here. This is such an extraordinarily important issue, one that I've been fighting literally for years. I introduced a bill protecting girls and boys sports back in 2021, or protecting boys, like keeping girls from boys sports. Anyway, what we're seeing in history right now is unheard of. It's an absolute denial of reality. You were watching, we all also watched the president recognize Peyton McNabb, who has been permanently injured as a result of a boy beat on the other team. She's hit in the face by a volleyball that knocked her out, caused traumatic brain injury. She's still heavy to accommodate for that today. When he recognized her, nobody dressed in pink recognized her. They refused to applaud. That's the society we're in. That's how upside down it is. And it is so terribly wrong. Title IX's purpose is to literally create a level playing field for women. That's the phrase that we intentionally use when we're talking about equality. And we are upending that in the name of politically correct. Title IX is 50 years old. I can remember when options were extraordinarily limited. Praise God that Title IX has made it possible for women to have over 40% of the sports scholarships going to college. That didn't exist before Title IX. 94% of the women that are in C-suite positions played sports. None of that would be possible without Title IX and protecting Title IX. This does have a very real cost to our girls' futures. Scholarships, medals, health, they can be harmed. Not to mention the mental health of a girl who's in lingerie having to see an anatomically correct male in front of her fully nude while she's getting ready to swim. Riley Gaines was literally swimming 6 hours a day when she ended up tying with Theotalis, who was anatomically male and also willing to be full nude in their locker room, and they weren't warned about it. None of this should be happening to our girls. I am calling on all of the parents, every last one of you. I'm calling on all of the coaches, every last one of you, all of the school superintendents, and MHSAA to protect our girls. MHSAA was sued and found to be discriminatory by the Michigan Supreme Court in 2006. They were subject to Title IX at that point in time, and they still are. Do not discriminate against our girls any longer. Protect them. It's your job. I do have a degree in biology. It is not hard to define what a girl is. It is not hard to define what a woman is. We've literally been doing that for thousands of years. None of the species that continue to exist on this planet would be able to continue to exist if they didn't recognize what the other sex looked like. Protect our girls. Stop denying reality.